Good evening, this is Tom, and it's Happy Flags Day. There's my flag on my layout, and just giving you a layout update today. Over the weekend, I added two BD20s into this section of track right here, and I did some ballasting on this double crossover, and I finished yard work. All I got to do is glue down those railroad ties, and then I turned on my DCC system, and all of a sudden my EB1s went all blank except for District 5. And District 5 is hooked up to the PB5 for the DCC accessory. But all the track was dead as a doornail. Couldn't figure it out, removed all the engines, put my meter on, had no current at all. And then finally I started taking off the feeders off of the bus line, and that was going to be a pain because they were on with those suitcases, or they were soldered on in this area here. Because I got what I did was I started disconnecting the EV1s until I got to District 1, and once I disconnected that one, all the other districts came live. So now I knew I was only working with either a bad EB1 or I had a major wiring problem on the District 1. What I did then was I took the EB1 in District 1 off and tried to wire it directly, and that didn't work either. So I said, oh, I got a bad EB1, because I put the Power Pro directly to that EB1 only, and it didn't even turn on. So I left it on my desk, and then funny thing, the next morning I got up and I hooked it up to the Power Pro again, and it lit up. So I don't know if it was just a little frustration on my part that day with that or not, I don't know. So then I said, okay, I'm going to put my spare power cab on there with the PCP and directly connect that to the bus that goes around this District 1, which is this whole area here is known as District 1. And I said, okay, so that didn't work. Then I said, let me start removing the feeders, because maybe I got a wire or something. I looked on all the track, thought I did left a tool on the track somewhere. I couldn't find anything, no debris or anything like that. So I started cutting the bus, and first thing I did was I cut out block 1 and put it on the EV1, and sure enough, block 1 fired up, no problem. Then I went to block 2, and I started using these suitcases, and I hooked up block 2, and oh no, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So then I connected the wires directly to block 2, and block 2 fired up, and block 3. So I said, okay. I then went to where I put those two new ones in, and I cut that off at that end, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they all fired up. So now I knew there was something wrong with the two BD20s. After a day and a half of doing this, I should have went to them directly in the first place. And what I did was I flipped the bus line around. I have a brown and a blue wire for my bus line. So I have the inside rail on the brown wire, and I have the outside rail on the blue wire. And for some reason, I thought the inside rail on the turnout was that, but obviously it's not. So I disconnected it, then I flipped them, and then those started working too. So since I cut up all that bus line, I decided to run a whole new bus line. Once I got the new bus line in, I added the block 1 in. I was going to do one at a time, and I did block 1, and then that block lit up and everything was fine. The train engine ran in there. I hooked them up with these suitcases. I just clipped them on, and that's it from the feeder. Then I went to block 2, clipped on 2 suitcases, and it wasn't getting any current. I got maybe 2-3 volts. And I said, what's going on? So I took the suitcases off and skinned the wire a little bit, wrapped the wire around. Then I got 14 volts. So the suitcases are bad. So I said, what am I going to do now? I got a bag of suitcases and they're not reliable. So I decided, I ordered these terminal blocks from NCE. They're the European type, the white ones. I'm going to use them for my bus lines from now on. Just going to hook that up to the bus line, and then drop the feeders in, and I can that way remove a BD20 without having to unsolder or open up a suitcase. Just unscrew it from the terminal block. It'd be a lot easier. So I got a bunch of terminal blocks coming, and once I do District 1, then I'll redo Districts 2 and 3 on this side and maybe the yard, and put all terminal blocks on this for future issues or something like that. So that was my dilemma over the weekend. Spent a lot of hours trying to get that figured out. Now I just have to wait for the terminal blocks to get this whole section here back up and running. And as I promised, I was going to show you on my big screen TV, there's my JMRI layout. So that's all working. And just to give you a quick update on JMRI, I got dispatcher working with the help of a guy, Dave Sands, and another guy, John Williams, and we got it all working. And you have to create your sections, and the hard part about sections, if we go into sections, I don't know if you can see this, it's kind of when you go into sections, the table of entry points, the block entering from, and the entry block, and the travel direction is the trickiest thing to get correct. Once we got that correct, I was able to then, in the transits, edit, and then add all the sections. Before, it would only add like sections 1 and 2, and then I couldn't get the rest of them added because they were going in a different direction. So what I done then in the transits, if we go here and click View Edit Actions, I set some actions when the train starts moving, set the speed to 20%, and then when the train starts moving, set the locomotive light on, and then I got another one in here somewhere to sound the horn, just playing around. And this here transit and this transit all run on the same track. So I'll have 2 trains running over there, and it's gonna, with dispatcher, and it'll make it so much easier. Won't have to worry about one running into the other. And this guy here was my first one to get running, and once I got all this set up, I set up a train in dispatcher and was able to get the train to start moving and running. And I had to work on the speeds and stuff like that to get that straightened out, and it went around no problem. And this is going to be really cool because I can just set them up, let them just go, and continuously run, and then just watch the trains, and not have to worry about on the Power Cab or the Power Pro or whatever to play around with flip-flopping between trains and everything. It'll all be controlled right from the laptop here. And then the Pennsylvania one, the PENN transit, I started that one up, but then the train was falling off the track. It was through the double crossover I have here, this section here, it was shorting out the track, and both districts shorted out. And then I found out that there was a joiner, a rail joiner, that was not connected properly, and it had the track a little elevated, and the front wheel was derailing, and it would run because it has 6 wheels on the trucks, but it still, once it got to the turnout, it would short out. So that's what's really all the little things you have to check out. The thing about anybody knows about the double crossover, I have it isolated right there off of the 2 diverging rails, and they're double isolated, that crossover, right? So I don't know how, when District 2, which is the outside run, and then the inside run is District 3, I don't know how I'm getting electricity still, because District 2 should not short out District 3, and it does. And it's only because of this double crossover, and either I got something wired wrong, or it's not isolated properly. Anybody that has any ideas, I'd appreciate it, because if I isolate it on both sides, then this crossover is dead. There's no energy in there, and I don't know if that's what I need to do and put a feeder on that guy. But if anybody has any ideas or recommendations, I'd appreciate it. Well, this is getting a little bit longer than I expected, but everybody have a good day, and I'll see you in the next video, and maybe I'll have some trains running soon. We're getting close. Have a good night. Thanks a lot. Bye.